All right. So November 1st, and we have our first team call. Again, like I always start the call, thank you to everyone for taking the time out of your busy schedule to hang out with us this evening to come and learn. We will be having a very special guest speak with us today. She's a very dear friend of mine. I'll wait for her to get on so that I could announce her and she could hear me announce her. But first of all, a couple quick announcements. So we have, what, 8 or 9 more weeks left in this year. So crazy. 2006 is approaching. And hold on, my computer is killing me. Okay. And so this month we have a couple new challenge packs on sale. So we have 21 Day Fix and 21 Day Fix Extreme like last month. And we also have the added addition of Size. And so Size will be on sale. Oh, she says she's coming. She says Zoom is not responding. So I wonder if it's because we have so many people on, but that's awesome. Anyway, sorry. But anyway, so we have Size and we have the 21 Day Fix on sale. So really, really awesome deals. We also have the Fall Classic. How many of you are in teams for the Fall Classic? Raise your hand. Excellent. For my new coaches or maybe coaches that are not on a team, it's okay. Basically, the Fall Classic is usually, it happens every couple months. The corporate basically puts together a competition and local coaches get together in groups of 3. Actually, we've had groups of 2 before, I think, but at least groups of 3 to 5 to try to come together and see which teams can hit the most Success Club points to win prizes throughout the network. So a lot of fun. So this month will be the Fall Classic, and many of us are partnered up with other people. Let's see. Oh, here she is. Yay. Hey, Alida. Okay, awesome. So guys, where'd she go? Oh, there she is. We have a lot of people on the call. So I am super, super excited to have Mama, Miss Alida Steele on the call with us all the way from Canada. So, Alida and I don't even know how we truly met, but, we are in the same, upline diamond group, and, we have been success partners for a couple months now. And we have, we've cried together, we've laughed together. We always laugh about how, we tend to be in different cycles. When she's up, I'm down. And when I'm down, she's up. And so we're really there to kind of help each other and pull us through, pull each other through kind of the ups and downs of being an entrepreneur and the ups and downs of running a team and being a leader. And so Alida Steele, she's a mom of 2 with 1 on the way quite soon. So very excited about that. She is 4-star qualifying. She is also a Success Club 10 legend, which is awesome because for some of you who don't know what that means you have been consistently hitting Success Club 10 for 24 months. So not 12 months, 24 months. So Success Club 10. So definitely bow down, hands down to you, girl, considering all that you have going on, that you're able to have these types of accomplishments. So again, thank you everyone for your time, and I am going to let her go ahead and take the stage.
Thank you so much for that introduction. I'm trying to get comfortable here. My kids aren't asleep yet, so I can't be in my office. My husband's watching TV. I'm in my room in this chair with a big old belly that just doesn't accommodate these lungs anymore when I'm sitting here. So I'm just trying to get comfy while I position. But that introduction is not something that 2 years ago I would have expected, to say the least. When I started coaching, I didn't know anything about the business. Thank you for that introduction. It always actually brings tears to my eyes, even when I'm not pregnant, to hear the things that you've accomplished yourself, especially when you doubt yourself in the business. And I'm sure that many of you can relate to self-doubt when it comes to the coaching business. But with coaching, I honestly didn't know anything about the business when I signed up. I just knew Shakeology was going up the next day, and I really, really liked Combat. Based on what other people, all the results that I was seeing in my coaches group. So she, and I had been helping people on my own, just on Facebook, based on changes I had already been making with my nutrition and working out at home. And it was taking a lot of my personal time. So I thought, I messaged my coach and just said, like, is it okay if I open up a Facebook group? I just want to help some people. It's taking a lot of my time. But I kind of get the impression that you're running a business here and that I would be stepping on toes if I was doing something like that. Like, can you explain a little bit more to me about what you do? And, I do get the impression that this is a business. And she explained further. She hadn't been coaching very long herself, so I was her first coach. And I guess just from there, I just started watching what she was doing, and I jumped in with both feet, and I didn't look back. It was just a slow beginning for me. My coach was, again, new to the business and wasn't really well tapped into her upline. And she and I have now, even in our businesses, we have very different goals. So, I use the diamond groups, which is, where Stephanie and I are, and I see a lot of people in here. There's a lot of diamonds on your team. And that's where I learn the majority of what I learn with the business is just following other successful coaches on Facebook and following other diamond leaders on the team and stuff. So, without saying you don't need to have a strong upline coach to be successful in the business, you don't need to have a strong upline coach to be successful in this business. My coach legitimately hasn't spoken to me in 8 months. We don't have a relationship really, and any of the leadership that I have received is coming from other people, Stephanie and other coaches on the team and our upline sponsors and whatnot. So if you find that you're in a position right now where your direct sponsor isn't as active as, let's say, somebody who's further up in your upline, or a fellow coach on your team who's, just part of the team, or another coach, like, we all have access to the same resources and the same tools and the same everything. So you can't be doing like the blame game or the finger pointing or whatever, because truthfully, without, my coach told me that personal development was a waste of time, like not to plug into the national wake up call type thing. You know what I mean? So it's up to you to work this business. This is your business. So taking ownership of your business right out the gate is what's going to help you to see success. And everybody has different ways that they learn, but there's so many tools available via the online office in written format. There's audio format, there's video format on YouTube and Google. Like, it's up to you to use the resources to be successful. And that's ultimately where you're going to see your success. But going back to my story and my why, when I started, I had my 2 babies. Lena was 2 and Shanna was 2 months old. And at the time, my husband had taken a job away from home. It's something that's really common out west in Western Canada. A lot of dads, fathers, men, some women even go up north and work in the oil sands and in the oil field. And my husband had kind of reached a ceiling at his position where he was at and was offered a job up north. So that became our reality, where my husband would fly to work. He would be gone for 21 days and then would be home for 7. And I was living on the West Coast and my family lived on the East Coast and my husband worked up north. So, I was scared shitless, to say the least, to be home raising 2 children on my own. Every decision and all parts of their life were, resting on my shoulders, and it was hard. It's hard when a spouse or a dad goes away for a day sometimes, or 2 days, let alone 21. You're on your A game. You have to be a mom 21 days and, do all of those rules. And I found myself wallowing in a puddle of self-pity. And I was just terrified. And so I would put those kids to bed every night and I would drink a bottle of wine. That became my coping mechanism. I just wanted to numb everything. I was lonely. I was scared. It was this week, 3 years ago. So I'm seeing a lot of things pop up on my timeline from Time Hop that are really driving it home. It was the day before Halloween that I fell down my stairs out front of my house, and I was black and blue. And then the next day I passed 2 kidney stones at home by myself with the kids. And the day after that, my car died on 8th Street and my husband was up north and I was getting drunk every night, as you know what I mean? Like, all this bad stuff was happening to me. We know that doesn't happen, right? Like, well, at least in my belief is we get back what we put out there. So I clearly had some really negative vibes going on and I was getting some really negative stuff coming back to me. So it didn't take long for me to snap out of that cycle. And that's when I started exercising and starting to see happiness come into my life. So from there, like, I didn't want Sean, I mean, it was 1 year. We had a deal 1 year that he would work away, and I had been let go from my employer while I was on maternity leave. So I had a little severance package, and Sean and I had a deal that if I could make what I was making on EI before I had to go back to work, like to find a job, like when my settlement money ran out, if I could make enough money coaching that I wouldn't have to go back to work. So I just focused on the 3 vital behaviors. I just focused on helping people every single day and connecting them with programs and products that I knew could change their lives the way that they were changing my life. And I did it. I never went back to work. I hit that goal. That was a major goal for me, was to make just, exactly what I was making on EI. And I thought, like, this is it. This is great, but I didn't even realize that the ceiling for coaching, I started having my eyes opened even more and more and more to what this opportunity was happening. And I was building even more and more and more. And then, our agreement for Sean to work away for 1 year turned into 2, turned into 3, almost 3 years. So my goal at that point was to bring my husband home. Like, my kids never had their dad wasn't around. I didn't have a partner. I was tired. But I still worked the business day in and day out. And we'll get into some of the things that I focused on in order to make ultimately what my second goal was to have my husband home and allow him to accept a job closer to home, which would pay. What ended up happening, he was offered a job that paid less than half of what he was making up north. The money up north is really great. So I was pushing and pushing and pushing. And ultimately, he came home on March 25th, a couple months ago. My husband's home. We have daddy every night. Tonight we got to say goodnight to our kids together, and they're both in the same room. They wanted their beds in the same room. So we snuggle with one baby each, and then we switch. And, to have these experiences for the first time in 3 years this is what I wanted. This is ultimately what I wanted, was to have my husband home and to have a partner in crime. And I did it. And coaching made that possible. It really wouldn't have been possible without this opportunity. So that's I don't know how many of you may relate to that, not having a partner. I know Sophie does all of this parenting on her own, and she busts her tail, and she has no excuses, and she's making it happen as well. But, when it comes down to the business side of things, we can all have excuses not to work the business. Ultimately, it's going to take a shift in your mindset to work the business, a shift to make excuses to make the business happen. Successful. Yeah. Like, this whole thing is, I'm just reading the chat. Like, there's military wives in here and who are doing everything alone. And, you don't have to do this alone. You can have a why that makes you cry. You can have a goal that pushes you to ultimately change the life that you're living. Ah, man, don't make me cry. I'm holding it together pretty good now. So right now, actually continuing on with that, my husband is really, really depressed. He hates his job. Yes, we live together, but he's here when he's home. He's home at like 11 at night. He leaves at 5 a.m., home at 11 p.m. And he's physically present, but he's not here. He's emotionally not here. He's mentally not here. And I've spent the majority of the weekend crying. It's been a really tough weekend. And now my push goal is to retire him completely. Originally, my goal was his birthday, May 24th. I'm not quite sure I'm going to make that goal, but I'm going to continue trying. I'm watching my husband fade away and sink into this hole, and it's terrible. But I know that I have the ability to do that with this opportunity in this business. So focusing on what it is. So no excuses mentality is number one. If you really want this business to work, it's up to you to make it work. Successful and unsuccessful coaches both have one thing in common. You know what that one thing is? We don't want to do the hard thing. Nobody wants to do the hard things, the things that make you feel totally uncomfortable, the things that make your palms sweat, the things that, make you shake when you're about to push enter. Inviting typically to either the coaching opportunity or to just even join a challenge group or a group that you're having online, that's a big fear for people. But you seriously have to eat your fear, eat that frog, suck it up, put on your big girl panties and do it, or big boy pants, sorry, Luke. And just make it happen if you're going to be successful in this business. The thing that you are avoiding the most in your business, you all know what it is, because every single one of us has that thing that we avoid. Every single one of us has the thing that we avoid. And you say, okay, maybe tomorrow I'm going to do that. Oh, I'm going to have a coaching webinar. Okay, maybe eventually I'll do a coaching webinar, but not quite yet. I'm not ready yet. Bullshit. You're ready. You just need to get it together and do it. Sorry, there is a child I see here on the screen there now. The difference is that successful people do the hard things. They just get up and they make them happen. And again, I'm using the word success loosely because everybody here has a different goal with their coaching business, right? So success to me and success to you and success to each one of us looks different based on what our goals are. I have a big lofty goal to retire my husband. So I've got to push myself outside my comfort zone and make those hard things happen in order to make that ultimate goal happen. But also staying focused on why I started coaching in the first place, which is helping people. So if I'm still helping people at the end of the day, connecting people with programs that are changing their lives, it's those messages where a woman has felt comfortable naked for the first time in front of their spouse. Those are the messages that validate that what I'm doing matters. Or for the first time, somebody went shopping and they bought a bikini instead of a bathing suit. Or for the first time, they went to the pool and they took off their t-shirt on top of their bathing suit. Those little things where they actually smiled at themselves and felt love for themselves. That's what I like. And so if I don't hit my goals, I think for me, consciously remembering why I started coaching and that those lives are still changing every day, that's what matters. And when you lose sight of that and focus on the money or focus on the rank or focus on XYZ, for me personally, that's when I've noticed that my business started tanking. But one thing has never changed. The secret sauce that we often sometimes think exists in this business, the 3 vital behaviors that aren't so secret, those are the key. Those are the meal ticket for this business. Aw, I love it. 3 vital behaviors, that's the secret sauce. That's it. All you've got to do is connect with people. So invite. I say connect. So does Carl. Meet new people all the time. If you're not expanding your network every single day, or if you don't work the business every day and you work it every second day, whatever, if you're not expanding your network every week and adding people to your friends list on Facebook or adding people to your email list, then you're not making forward progress in your business. I typically have a rule of thumb of adding 3 to 5 people a day to my network. And that can be easily achieved when you have a tracking system or using something like Power of Threes. I'm not sure if you guys use Power of Threes, Stephanie, or Power of Fives. But seeing that down on paper is another really great way of identifying where that thing that you're avoiding, that really hard thing that you avoid every day that successful people do. It's a really great way of seeing on paper as well where it is that you're struggling and that weakness that you are actually exhibiting. Some people use the business activity tracker or the BAT. Power of Threes, Power of Fives is something that my team is really finding is helpful. So that's one non-negotiable for us, is just adding people to your network. You've just got to add people to your network, period. Continuously expanding your network. And that doesn't mean adding somebody and then saying, hey, I'm a Beachbody coach. Do you want to buy something? Not at all. That means adding somebody to your friends list, adding them to a specific list on Facebook, engaging with their posts, start adding value, creating a relationship, build trust, plant seeds by sharing your accountability and your story on Facebook all the time, so they see it and they're seeing the consistency and they're seeing the accountability and they're seeing the transparency that you exhibit, and then build, and then eventually they gain the interest to want to join you. I'm not saying be some salesy MLM pushy person, whatever. Just, build the value and make sure you're always expanding your network. The other ones, be a product of the product. And the one thing I do find a lot of people do skip over is the personal development. And I got to be honest, if you're skipping personal development, you are shooting yourself in the foot. There are so many ways to do personal development. I don't care if you're bathing your kids and you have a national wake-up call on in the background, or you're driving to do groceries and you've got it on in your car. My kids are like, are we going to listen to the national wake-up call on the way to the bank today? Like, they know Jeff, they know Michael, they know those names. It's really, and then we do fun things too when you know you're going to be on the call and you're like, listen now, you gotta listen now, you're going to hear mommy's name. It's fun, little things like that. But personal development can be so many things. It can be you reading the Bible. It can be reading a book. It can be listening to audio. Find a system of personal development that works for you. But seriously, don't skip it. If that's the one thing that you're skipping, you're shooting yourself in the foot and you're going backwards. 10 minutes a day, that's all it takes. And it can spark a fire in you and light a fire in your belly that can take your business to the next level. I am telling you, it is absolutely incredible. Okay. So with that, there are a lot of moms on the call, and there's probably a lot of non-moms on the call. One thing that Stephanie and I don't have in common is that, I have numerous children, more coming, and she doesn't. But she has a big ass job that takes a lot of time. So it's nice to be able to talk about different things in our businesses from different perspectives. But for those moms who feel guilt, that's something I felt too. I was asked before, do you feel guilty when your kids are there and you're working the business and they're sitting in front of the TV, or, playing on the iPad, or you're not engaging with them, and of course you feel guilty. Your kid could be at daycare and you're not there, or they can be at home while you're physically there, but you're mentally attached to a computer and you're working. I did have guilt, and sometimes I still do have guilt. I'm better at shutting off the computer and paying specific focused attention to my children when they're here. I do send one to daycare a couple days a week so I can work all day for those days, and my other one's in full-time school now. But when I started thinking about guilt and that whole thing, and I reminded myself that I'm building their future, it helped me to wrap my head around that, like short-term pain for long-term gain. I spent 2 years with Sean working away, and I was the only parent at home. I worked the business a lot, and I was on every team call. I didn't miss a team call. I shifted bedtime. I shifted dinner time. I was like a drill sergeant at bedtime. Those kids had to be at bed at a certain time. They had to be bathed. They had to be fed. They had to be in bed because mommy had to work. And that was it. I was working, and I worked all night. And I slept, but I worked for the evening. They went to bed and I worked until it was bedtime for me, which was typically 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and then get up with them at 6:37 when they woke up. And I sacrificed my sleep, and I sacrificed some time with my kids, but to build their future, short-term pain, long-term gain. What I built for those 2 years is now what my family is. My husband came home from work the other day and said for the first time, when I had a conversation with the guys at work today, I don't think they understand that, yeah, you're self-employed and you work from home. But he said, I told them I'm no longer the breadwinner in my family. And they were like, what? But that's what I built for 2 years. That's the foundation. That's the sacrifices that were made, the no excuses, the non-negotiables that you did every day. Do I feel guilty? You know what? My kids don't remember. My kids probably learned more from the TV now than they did when we were plunked in front of the TV when we were kids. At least they're more educational now. I'm not saying use your TV as a babysitter. What I am saying is that it's okay. It's okay to work and to not be like working away from home, where somebody else is taking care of your children. At least you're still there and you love them more than any other caregiver would love them anyway. So even if you're not paying attention to them, making sure that they're safe, but you're not giving them 100% attention, playing with them on the floor, it's okay. Allow yourself the ability to work and to have balance. Balance is key. Schedule it in, close the lid when you're done. We used to talk about setting timers. And if your timer was done and you're mid-message, it doesn't matter. Your timer's done. You close the lid. That's it. You have to have boundaries because you can get sucked into the vortex of coaching as well. Stephanie is prime example of that, working gazillion hours a week and then coming home and working a gazillion hours a week in coaching. You know, and it's hard at that point as well because, you know, she's sacrificing everything. And it's hard for coaches who are working so much to also set precedent for their teams. You don't want to be setting precedent for your coaches, showing them that you're online 24/7, that you're always available to answer messages, that you're always posting on social media, because they'll simply say, I can't do what you do. You're setting precedent setting them up thinking, I can't be like her. I can't coach like her because she's always online. So make sure that you're thinking about that too as you're working your business. Make sure that you're setting business hours and you're taking time and you're unplugging and you're showing the value that you also have with your family. Now that I've built more of a foundation, I'm not saying I'm coasting and I'm nowhere near like Melanie Mitro, whatever, you know, unplugging for whatever, but you know, Tuesdays and Thursdays, my little is home, so I unplug. And now that my time is, again, so limited with my husband, I don't work on Sundays. Typically, I'm here. But normally I don't work on Sundays at all. This is not work to me. This is fun. But, you know, setting those boundaries and setting limits, it's quality over quantity. You don't have to work all day, every day to be successful in this business. What you do need is a schedule. What you do need is a list of non-negotiables that you're going to do every single day. And you need to work from a list. You know, if you're just coming on Facebook and you're scrolling and you're going here, there, and everywhere, you're everywhere and nowhere all at once. So you need to have a game plan. I encourage you, if you haven't set up a list or a schedule, you know, color-coded time, you know, maybe many of you only have an hour or 2 hours to devote to coaching a day before work or after work or on your lunch hour, but you can't go in blindly. You've got to have a set schedule, you know, if your lunch hours from 12 to 1 and you're at a cafe, like 12 to 12:15, you're answering messages, 12:15 to 12:30, you're checking in with your challengers, 12:30 to 12:45, you're posting on your like page, you're posting on whatever, or you're copying and pasting some posts for your auto scheduler, whatever that looks like for you. Your power hour is always going to look different from somebody else's, but that is so crucial. Because you can spend so many hours and waste quality time by doing nothing, being everywhere and nowhere all at once. You've got to nail down those priorities. For me, it's always my messages. It's my challengers. I have an ongoing free accountability group. So commenting in there, making sure that they're seeing my presence. Obviously I do my workout and drink my Shakeology every day. It's commenting on birthdays. I think I said answering messages. Like page posts, making videos. And again, you can have a certain day that you make a few videos for your team if that's what you're doing, but it has to be scheduled. And you can't go MIA ever. You cannot go MIA, period. Like if you go on a holiday, you can still plug in and show a few photos or something, and post something random in your group. You don't have to be as present. But if you go MIA from your challengers, from your Facebook, from your accountability group for 2 weeks, for a month, because you're having a bad season in your life, you're depressed, your marriage is falling apart, you're X, Y, Z, and then you come back. You know how many times my coaches have done that and they come back, they're like, well, nobody's posting in my accountability. No shit, Sherlock. Like, dude, you just went missing for a month. Those people trusted you. They relied on you. They expected you to show up, to set the precedent, to show them that your accountability and your daily consistency, I mean, if you're not doing it, you can't expect them to do it, ever. So, I mean, I want you to think about that. And if you go MIA, they're going to go MIA. You can't expect them to come back. You're going to lose credibility. You're going to lose trust right off the bat. Regaining credibility and trust are two of the hardest things to do in this business, because there's a gazillion other coaches out there and they all have something else to offer that maybe you don't have to offer. You know, really making sure that you're present, again, using your schedule, but not going MIA is so super important in this business, and not being the same as everybody else. You've got to be you. You have got to set yourself apart from everyone else. Excuse me. I've got that pregnancy mucus thing going on. It's killing me. Dr. Stephanie, you know what I'm talking about? Give me a sec here. You can have, I have drank my mommy sippy cup on my team calls. with Shakeology, not wine anymore. Anyways, transparency, being raw, being vulnerable, being you. Your audience does not relate to P90X or insanity. I promise you that. They do not relate to a shake. They relate to you. They relate to the struggle behind, what it is and why you're using the program, why you're using the Shakeology to change your life. And those are the big things, your story, that need to be shared. And it's often something that people shy away from sharing because they're terrified of being vulnerable and of being transparent. I can guarantee you your business will start to change, shift, and typically explode when you start sharing those things about your life that maybe some people don't know about if you're a quiet person. For me, it's anxiety. It was depression. It was turning to alcohol. I have sleeping disorders. I've had bowel issues. I have all of those things going on. And I'm just raw. I'm just me. I'm just real on social media. I don't hide it. I have been hiding a few things recently, emotionally, that I'm dealing with in my life. And I'm trying to figure out how I can put that out there without, having a pity party. But by sharing that, the struggle is still real. There's still struggles in your life, even though, you're working out and you're using different coping mechanisms. There's always still going to be highs and lows and struggles in your life. And those struggles and how you deal with that struggle. If you have a really crappy day, just like half of the population, you could come home and you could light up, or you could smoke a cigarette, or you could have a drink. But I bet the majority of the people on this call come home and they're like, dude, I'm going to punch the crap out of this day. I'm going to turn it around and I'm going to own it. I'm going to go and do some LMC and I'm going to own this day. So when I have a crappy day, I post about it and I'm like, rather than sitting around wallowing in a puddle of my own self-pity, I got up, I put on my combat gloves and I pounded the crap out of Les Mills Combat today. You know what I mean? Like, share that you've had a tough day and how you're dealing with it and why you're using Shakeology and how it's helping to change your life and why you're working out in the first place. If you're just constantly posting like, did my workout today? Did you? Like, scroll on past, you know what I mean? Like, you want to make your posts scroll stoppable. You want them to stop. You want your pictures to speak to people. You want your posts to speak to people. You want to show the struggle behind the story. And that's what people relate to. They don't relate to the workout. They don't relate to what you're drinking. They do relate to what you're eating though. Food is a really great share as well, especially with 21 Day Fix. Some of my most favorite ones are, I really wanted to have a sandwich today, but I couldn't have a sandwich. Hell yeah, I could. And like, people post a picture of their sandwich with 2 pieces of bread because there's that common misconception that you can't have bread. You can't have carbs when you're losing weight. Heaven forbid you have carbs when you lose weight, when you're working out, when you're on a diet, whatever. I love those ones because 21 Day Fix allows it, and it shows people the reality that you don't have to eat broccoli, chicken, and rice for the rest of your life in order to have a transformation story. Anyways, make your post scroll worthy, show you, be vulnerable, be raw, and share your story. If you haven't shared your story yet, it doesn't have to be a rags to riches story. It doesn't have to be this big elaborate thing, but like, you have a story. You have a life, which means you have a story and it's worth sharing. And there are people out there who are just like you, who have an excuse to not do what you're doing. You're working out every day, you're getting healthier. They're not, but they relate to the story that you have. So if you're not sharing that, they won't know that, but it opens up doors anyways. I'm going to stop talking. I don't know if I tackled my list. Oh, and never stop focusing on you. Your journey, your transformation, your focus on your fitness and your health. That is at the center of everything. Some people say like, I've got to stop for a little while. I just have to focus on me instead of the business. That is the business. You are the center of the business. You working on your fitness, you working on your nutrition. That's your story. Your story is the business. It's all one thing, and you're sharing it. By sharing it, that is the business. We're not messaging people saying, hey, I'm a Beachbody coach. Do you want to buy a program? There are other MLMs out there that do that. We don't do that. So you at the center and sharing your accountability, sharing your consistency, and your journey, that is your credibility. When you're not posting and sharing that stuff, you're losing your credibility. Okay, now I'll shut up.
Awesome, Alida. Thank you so much for chatting with us. I want to open up the floor to some questions. I know I have one quick question before. So, Alida, when you started, were you at your heavyweight when you started? You know, when you start, were you at that? I just want to share my screen real quick for my new coaches. You guys can see Alida's before picture and her after picture. So you can see that she was still rock star, making, showing the progress, she was not, like what we say, she was not at her goal weight, when she started the business. She still had a story to tell. She still had a story to share. So, a lot of misconceptions is that you have to be at your goal weight to have a successful business and to even start coaching. And so I just wanted to kind of share her before and after, just showing you guys, that, I mean, this woman, she fell in love with Les Mills Combat and she took it from there. But I wanted to see if any coaches, had any questions, anything, Alida will answer any question you have. My mom's out there about pregnancy. I know we have a couple pregnant ladies on the team. But But if there's any questions, you have to wave your hand kind of thing, so that I can kind of see you. All right. So, Jessica.
Hi, thank you so much for sharing. I'm one of the pregnant moms.
Hey, pregnant mom.
I guess Stephanie was telling me that you also had a, I guess, tough pregnancy as far as like you were a little sick. I guess, how did you deal with, like, I guess my struggle is I'm sick every night, and it's kind of like, how did you share
Share
pregnancy
coaching
journey without being depressing and
right.
like finding a medium between, like I throw up every night. So it's very hard. But it's like, how do you find a balance between being raw and real, but
Right.
at the same time not being depressed? You don't want to depress your audience.
Totally. I can appreciate what you're saying. Like you don't want to have a woe is me pity party, but you want to be, I think that's the fine line that we all struggle with when we're sharing our story without trying to sound like, we're trying to play a violin and wine and cheese thing, I was sick in the morning. I was pretty sick till about noon. So I often posted pictures of like my C-bands. I went and bought C-bands for my morning sickness with this one. I didn't have to take diclectin, as they ended up working for me, probably in my mind more than anything. So I talked about that. And when I worked out, it was actually the only time I didn't feel sick. So probably not the same, like maybe not the same for you. But is there any time of day that you feel half decent?
It's the morning. So like the morning. So I just started working out in the morning.
Okay. So you could totally put it out there that like, if maybe you used to work out in the evenings. If you did, then that's even more ideal, that you can say like evenings were really the time that I did my workouts. That's when my other kid's in bed, or that's when everything else in my day is complete. But you know what? Given this situation, I have to adapt. Being adaptable in life is so crucial. And just talk about adaptability in life and then transition it to, mornings are now my time. That's the only time I'm not throwing up making this baby. So mornings it is, we have to be adaptable to change in our lives. So many people have the excuse that they just can't do it anymore because you're sick. Well, BS. You're sick, but you're still making it happen. You're just adapting. You're finding a different way to do it. So I think if you could put that twist on it and talk about adaptability and the ability to change with different things that life throws us, I think that's going to be your ticket to sharing it, but also keeping it in a positive tone. Does that make sense?
Yep.
I think that's how I would do it. Adaptability. It's pretty important.
I've been trying to share it like that, but at the same time it's kind of it's hard because it's literally like from 3 until the evening that I can't, I'm like out of commission. So, I know. So
sidebar. when I got my third trimester morning sickness and was throwing up almost every day again, just a couple weeks ago, I started taking liquid iron, and it took it away. My midwife said a lot of times your morning sickness is related to iron and vitamin B12. So I found a natural supplement that was just liquid iron and vitamin B12 that helps. B12 helps iron absorb, like the absorption. So I started drinking it. It doesn't taste the greatest, but I did notice a change. I just hope it passes for you really quickly because it sucks. It's like the worst feeling ever. You could take some funny pictures with a bucket too. I've hosted team calls barfing in buckets and turning off my screen. I mean, people get a kick out of, I mean, you're building a baby, but you're not dead. I mean, it's hard though. It is. And you're tired, and people will say like, maybe you should just take a break, and you're building a baby, and this is, so there's people who are trying to tell you that you should eat crap and you should do nothing and you should sleep all the time. But, also pushing yourself to do your best and to be adaptable. I mean, that's the spin I would take. Oh, I hope it passes for you.
I hope so too. But I'm just like, I was waiting, and I was like, now I'm 4 months, second trimester, still sick. And I'm like, I have to do something. Mm-hmm. Like, I can't wait anymore. So now my mindset is just, I have to deal with it. I may be sick the whole pregnancy, but. Yeah.
And if you can rehash old posts of you working out from before, mm-hmm. and old nutrition posts, I mean, you can still maybe take pictures of your husband's food. I don't know how much you can eat, but, you can make it fun and talk about food aversions and post things that you wish you could eat that were Fix approved, and you know what I mean? Make it fun, and people will get a kick out of it. It'll be fun.
That's a good idea.
Any other questions? Wait, any other questions at all? Amy, go ahead.
Hi, I'm so inspired by you. I was the one that was like
crying
the whole time. Yeah. So, I mean, it's the same thing. Like, if I were to get pregnant, like, I'm in the middle of Body Beast right now. I don't know what you did while you like did your whole pregnancy thing, and I've been like keeping up with you or whatever. I have a lot of pregnant coaches.
Yeah.
And like, how should I ask them to do the business? That's my thing. I haven't been pregnant while they were doing the business. So right. How would you instruct your coaches who are doing the business to promote it?
I think for me, a lot of people typically in society look at pregnancy as maybe they don't, but they treat it like it's a disease. Like, it is the time to eat whatever the hell you want, which is first of all going to expose your children and it's predisposition for diabetes, for a lifetime of health issues. Second of all, for you to be super lazy and do nothing with yourself, which is going to deteriorate your own health and in turn deteriorate your baby's health. I think now is the time to be a role model and show that you don't have to be doing what I'm doing. Like, I'm still doing Insanity Max 30 and 21 Day Fix Extreme and Hammer and Chisel, and like, I'm kind of the extreme version of things. And people tell me that I'm killing my baby on the daily via private messages. They don't have to do what I'm doing. They can be doing, the new autumn maternity series. They can be playing around with modifications, but now is the time when they're pregnant to start advocating for the fact that having a healthy pregnancy is beneficial for mom and babies. Did you know that parents who work out typically have babies who sleep through the night? Hey, that's a pretty great thing, right? Like, a lot of parents don't sleep very much. I'm sure there's some that, you know what I mean? Like, the odds or the tests that have been done, whatever, babies born to parents who have been active during their pregnancies tend to sleep longer. They have better cognitive function, XYZ. Autumn even posted about it on her profile, about the benefits of having a healthy mom during pregnancy. But I think kind of changing that misconception that pregnancy is a disease and that you have to stop living, I'm of the mindset that if something's going to happen, something's going to happen. So if something happens during my pregnancy and I've been exercising and eating healthy and being fit and heaven forbid something happens to me or my baby, I mean, I'm of the mindset that it was going to happen some way, somehow anyways. And it's likely not related directly to my workout or whatever anyways. It's a little bit different for people who have had loss, who have experienced loss in pregnancy before. They want to be cautious. And they're probably more likely to question Shakeology. Even with Shakeology, you know, people ask me all the time, is it safe to take while pregnant? And we all, I mean, many of you probably know that most people will switch to a vegan formula so they can take a prenatal vitamin. I don't. I take straight up Shakeology and I supplement with folic acid. I don't like prenatal vitamins. I don't like the fake iron or the cheap quality iron in there. I had bowel issues before. Pregnant women have sluggish bowels to begin with, and you start adding a really cheap quality iron. Sorry, Dr. Steph. You start adding that kind of iron into it. Like, I'd rather take a liquid iron, but I drink straight regular Shakeology. People don't tend to question Big Macs or French fries. And quite frankly, I think there's way more detrimental things in the junk and crap that people will sit down and stuff in their faces when they're pregnant, because that's what you're supposed to do when you're pregnant. And they don't actually, they don't question that crap. You know, there should be a warning on those and not on Shakeology. So I don't even pay two seconds attention to those questions. It's like, do you question what's in a Big Mac or do you just eat it? But again, that's my perspective on that. So now is the time when you're pregnant to lead a healthy, happy life. Definitely, for sure.
Any other questions?
I think on that too, like my last 2 pregnancies, I was in a wheelchair for the last 3 months of my pregnancies. I couldn't walk. I was written off work. I was on disability. I had symphysis pubis dysfunction, which is like a separation and overlap of the pubic bones, and it's just awful. It's super awful. Some people get sacroiliac joint dysfunction, which I've had a little bit of this time, but like I physically was unable to do a lot of things, and I had pitting edema. I was big. I'm going to actually deliver this baby under my pre-pregnancy weight for my other 2, which is pretty cool. So my pregnancy hasn't been at all the same, but I really think that the physical activity has also prevented me from having the aches and the pains with this pregnancy. And the energy that I have, people ask, well, how do you have so much energy to do what you're doing? Dude, it's a cycle. The workout is giving me the energy. You just have to get up and do it. That's it. At 3:30 when I'm crashing, I can lay down on the couch and have a nap and let my kids watch TV, or I can get up and work out, and that's what I do. And then I'm good to go for the night. We go scootering, we go to the pool 3 times a week, things like that. But it's a cycle. The exercise and the nutrition feeds your energy source. So I can definitely say that this has been an incredible experience. I'm a little bit scared now. I have to push this thing out. I'm nervous.
Oh.
Ah.
Any other questions? No other questions? I definitely just wanted to, highlight the 2 things that kind of what Alida talked about on her call that I think was definitely making sure, especially because there's a lot of new coaches on this call, making sure that you do work from a list and making sure that you go in with a game plan, especially when you are limited with your time. A lot of us, if not all of us, are super busy. And so when you go in and you have a focus, that's why we have the new business activity tracker, which is based off of the power of 3s, like Alida was sharing, and why we want you to kind of have these tasks so that you do go in with a game plan and you don't waste precious time. And like she said, building your network every day and, and doing your personal development, those are all the ways that you're going to be building your business. And one thing that I want to highlight, because, when we, especially I know when I talk to new coaches now, and I know I've been harping on it when sometimes people ask questions, there's a reason why I have you guys ask questions on the team page. Because of what Alida talked about, limitations and setting boundaries for time, within ourselves. Like she said, I'm guilty of working my ass off and working a lot and not stepping away, for myself, just for myself, my own sanity. I mean, I'm not a mom, I'm not but just overworking, because it's much easier to answer your question via messenger than to have you guys, go and seek it out, or it's easier to talk to me. So there's a reason why it's not because I want to be mean. It's because I want you guys to ask the questions in the team page, direct your coaches to ask the questions in the team page, because I don't want you to be on-demand coaches, because that's not who you are. I want you to use the team page as a resource and use each other as resources, so respect each other's time and respect your coach's time, and use our team page that has over 400 coaches in there, and people are always scrolling through it to answer questions. And so just kind of just following up on what Alida was saying, that's why I do that, and why you may see other leaders saying, did you ask the question in the team page? Or can you please ask this question in the team page? Is not because we want to be mean and we don't want to answer your question. Trust me, it's so much easier just to answer the question. But we're really just trying to set principles and set a precedence, like Alida is saying, so that moving forward, when you have coaches, you will do the same thing for them, and it will help you. And it will help you set those boundaries. Because
I think the hard part for new coaches with that, like I remember when it was easier for us when we had 4 coaches, 5 coaches to answer those questions, but setting that precedent early and setting that expectation early that you use the FAQs, that you Google your question. So many times I get a private message from coaches who say, like, is Shakeology gluten-free? Let me Google that for you. It's super easy to find it. If you go and Google, is Shakeology gluten-free, you're going to get your answer before you're going to get an answer from me, because my inbox is full. So by the time I get to your message, it's going to be 2 days later. If you just took a little bit of time and effort to find the answer, and you help your coaches to learn to find the answers, they're going to be better served, and it'll be an easier transition. I know, like for Steph and I, the transition from being able to help your coaches one-on-one to having to shift to that using the team page and not being as able to help people one-on-one, that was a really hard transition for me. Not physically being able to give what I used to be able to give to a handful of coaches to a massive team of coaches. It's hard. So if you start early, that transition will be a lot easier for you. Absolutely, team page. And then you can learn from each other that way too. Like, it's so important. Setting precedent in this business for everything. One thing that's drilled into my head is, if you're doing something that cannot be duplicated, you're wasting your time. Every single thing in this business that you do should be duplicatable. If it's not duplicatable, I mean, clearly your story is your story, but people can share their own story. But if you're creating something or you're doing a challenge group, you should be saving your posts so you can duplicate it. Everything that you do needs to be duplicatable. Otherwise, you're wasting your time. I'm sorry I interrupted you.
No, it's okay. Tony, go ahead.
Oh, I'm not muted. Okay. Hi, I'm Tony. I wanted to ask you a particular question, because the secret to me not ripping my hair out is asking very successful people how to not screw it up. I'm in month 3. I came in August. I'm a diamond now. Things are moving so fast. What's that face? You're muted. Okay.
You made diamond in 3 months. I'm like, wow, that's awesome.
I'm excited, but it is terrifying, frankly, because there's so much to learn. And then I have these people behind me who are raring to go. They're like me. Yay. So I want to make sure that if there were any words of wisdom you could impart on someone who's new, but also moving really fast. I mean, Stephanie gives me wisdom all the time, but are there any pitfalls or things that you wish you had known early on that I can make sure I get right?
I think for you, at the pace that you're going, is making sure that, don't take this the wrong way. Don't feel like you need to create everything. And oftentimes as the leader, you have an ego and you want to make sure that you're providing them with tools and resources to help them, but the resources are there. Mm-hmm. Make sure you're using what's there, because you right now don't have time at the pace, first of all, that you're going. Second of all, the people are behind you chasing you because they're doing exactly what you're doing. You don't have time to create things. Please don't create things. Do not reinvent the wheel. People have already done the stuff. Is that face because you're actually trying to reinvent the wheel? Are you trying? Don't do it.
Good. Don't.
No, I don't. I'm laughing because Stephanie and I went to GoPro last month together. Like, I move real fast, right? But we had all these conversations about everything she built, which was magnificent. And we were just trying to, kind of make it easy and fine tune everything for people so that they wouldn't be overwhelmed. I'm a doctor also. So,
Crazy.
We're all over. We just multitask. We have like 20 screens up. If I shared my screen, I got like 20 tabs. That's not normal.
No.
And we want to make it easy for people to not feel like they're nothing like us, but yet they do have certain qualities, and we want to make it easy. So for me, it's not so much duplicating as it is trying to streamline, make it easy for people, because there's so much.
Yeah. I mean, the streak training system that Stephanie is using, I think is probably your best option for your new coaches, is to do the email training system. Mm-hmm. I haven't done it yet myself, to start emailing the system. I have a website that I'm still using. I just started using Streak not long ago, but it's changed my life and it's changed my business. I think for you to use that training system to streamline it is probably going to be your best bet. At any given time, though, there truly is so much information for anybody who is in this business. I mean, and like you said, how do you not make mistakes? Like, how do you do it? So you're going to make mistakes. You're going to learn from them. And they're going to be huge stepping stones for you in your business. You've got to look at them as failing forward. When you make those mistakes, it's a learning opportunity, and it's a way for you to show your team what not to do. But I mean, you're really green. You're really new in the business, but you've gone so quickly and you're likely super overwhelmed. Try to be a little bit gentle with yourself, because I mean, seriously, you've gone and done it really quickly. So I think I'm sure that you've shared the training system via Streak or whatever with your team. That's probably my best suggestion there, but you're going to make mistakes. You will. And you're going to learn and grow from that, but just don't reinvent the wheel. You don't have time and you don't need to. The stuff is there. Just tweak it and allow them to tweak it. That's really all I got.
That's funny.
And let them know that you're struggling too, that, you're new and you don't have all the answers. So the team page is such a valuable resource because you don't have the answers. You truthfully, like, Stephanie and I are still learning, and you'll continue learning until the end of time, and just letting them know that, like, you don't know the answers, but the team page is a great place to ask a question because there's somebody there who's going to know the answer. I mean, that's how I would navigate it for sure.
Thank you so much.
And congratulations. You're kind of a big deal, kind of a rock star.
We were at GoPro and Stephanie's like, I'm a 5-star. You're a diamond. Yay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
amazing.
was fun. It was fun.
So cool.
Awesome. All right. Well, I'm gonna, it's 9 o'clock, it's 10 o'clock. And so I want to respect Alida's time with her family. And I just want to thank you so much, Alida, for taking the time. You know how much you mean to me. So just to take the time to speak to my team, you're very inspiring. And so many times watching you post, watching all your videos on your team page, I know a lot on your page and on your team page as well. I know a lot of my team really looks to you and your posting. So coming in and giving us your words of wisdom really mean a lot to us. So thank you.
Just before we go, I do, after team calls, I always get a ton of friend requests. And I am not a huge like page fan at this time. So I'm sorry in advance. I am not accepting friend requests from coaches right now. Because there's so many of them and I'm not ready to go to a like page yet. So please don't take offense if I don't go on and accept. If you can follow, that'd be great. I really don't use my like page like Stephanie does, and I'm not ready to go there. I really enjoy my profile. So I just wanted to make sure that I'm not just trying to be a dink. I'm just trying to save some space for my clients and coaches and stuff. But I'm happy if you have any questions, or pregnant moms or whatever, if you want to message me or whatever, I'm happy to answer that way or whatever. But I just wanted to forewarn you.
Absolutely. And if you guys go follow her, you will see all her posts that she posts. And that's just kind of a plug-in to make sure that you guys all have your profiles public, so that people can see, like Alida will have her profile, because her profile is public.
Yeah.
When people follow her and she has the follow option on her personal profile, people can go and follow her and still get the same inspiration and the same wisdom and see all of her posts. So if you guys want to go ahead and follow her, that's absolutely okay too.
Thank you, Stephanie. I appreciate it. It's always weird. Like, I don't think I'm anything special and I have anything to offer to anyone. So it's always really humbling to be asked to speak on a team call, especially to someone like you, you've been a rock star and somebody that I've looked up to since I started coaching, and, and I continue to look up to you. You're awesome. And I appreciate all that you've done for me.
Absolutely. All right, guys. So thank you so much for coming on the call. Everyone wave to Alida. Bye, Alida. Thank you so much.
Bye, guys.
All right. All right, guys. I'm going to end this call now.